Stop scrolling. Stop thinking you know how attraction works because everything you've been told is a lie. Younger women notice things about older men that most men don't even realize exist. And if you've never seen this before, your mind is about to be blown. I'm not talking about your money, your car, or your muscles. I'm talking about something so subtle, so invisible, that most men spend their entire lives ignoring it. And yet, it is the single thing that makes women gravitate toward a man without effort, without chasing, and without asking. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why confidence alone isn't enough, why being nice won't get her attention, and why trying harder will only push her away. You're going to discover the real traits, the invisible signals, and the inner energy that younger women notice instantly, the traits that separate the ordinary men from the men who are magnetic, unforgettable, and impossible to ignore. This is not theory. This is psychology, philosophy, and real life insight rolled into one truth you've never heard before. If you've ever wondered why some older men command attention effortlessly while others fade into the background, why some men get respect and attraction naturally while others are left chasing approval, this video will shock you. And I promise, once you hear this, you will never look at yourself or at women quite the same way again. So pay close attention because every word in this video will change how you show up in life, how you carry yourself, and how women notice you without even trying. The moment you understand this, your entire approach to attraction, respect, and personal power will transform. Keep watching because the truth I'm about to reveal will hit harder than anything you've been told, and it will stay with you forever. Let's start by being brutally honest. Confidence is the single trait younger women notice instantly about older men. And I don't mean the shallow kind of confidence you see on social media or the type that screams loudly in a crowded room demanding attention. No, what I'm talking about is the deep, quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't have to announce itself because it simply exists. This is a confidence born from experience, from having faced life head on and having come out the other side still standing. It's a confidence that doesn't need validation from anyone. And when a younger woman senses this energy, it hits her in a way that words cannot explain. It's magnetic. Think about it. Women have an innate ability to pick up subtle cues in a man's energy. They can sense hesitation, uncertainty, or desperation almost immediately. And here's the truth that most men don't realize. When you are constantly seeking approval, when you are always chasing attention, that energy is toxic. It repels rather than attracts. But the older man who has built real confidence, the one who has faced rejection, failure, and heartbreak, and has not only survived, but grown stronger, his energy is different. It's calm, it's steady, it's unshakable. And that steadiness, younger women feel it immediately. They are drawn to it without even knowing why. This kind of confidence is not about showing off your accomplishments or your wealth. It's not about having the latest car, the biggest house, or the fanciest lifestyle. Those things might catch someone's eye for a moment, but they don't hold attention. What holds attention and what keeps younger women intrigued is the energy of a man who is comfortable in his own skin, a man who knows who he is, what he wants, and refuses to bend or compromise his values to please others. This is the energy that creates fascination. This is the energy that sparks respect, and respect, more than anything else, is what younger women unconsciously crave from a man who stands out. Now let's delve deeper. Confidence in its truest form is inseparable from self-awareness. The older man who exudes confidence knows his strengths, yes, but he also acknowledges his weaknesses. He doesn't need to hide them behind arrogance or ego because he has already accepted them. There is a certain liberating power in knowing yourself fully, in not being afraid to admit your flaws, yet still showing up as a complete person. That authenticity resonates. Younger women notice it immediately, even if they can put it into words. It's not something that can be faked. You either embody it or you don't. But here's a crucial point. Confidence is not arrogance. There's a difference that most men miss entirely. Arrogance demands recognition. Confidence doesn't need it. Arrogance screams for attention. Confidence quietly commands it. And this distinction is vital when it comes to attracting the right kind of attention from younger women. Women are naturally drawn to strength that is composed and self-assured, not to strength that is loud, brash, or dependent on constant validation. The older man who understands this difference moves through life with a calm magnetism that is almost hypnotic. Younger women feel it often before they even notice his physical presence or hear him speak. Confidence also creates a sense of security. Think about it. There is nothing more attractive than a man who is steady, who does not crumble under pressure, who faces challenges with composure. Younger women sense this security instinctively. They are wired to notice the stability that comes from emotional and psychological mastery, and confidence is the cornerstone of that mastery. When a man carries himself with quiet certainty, he communicates a message louder than any words. I am in control of my life, and I will not be shaken by chaos or drama. That message is irresistible because it signals safety, reliability, and strength, all qualities that are deeply attractive on a subconscious level. It's also worth noting that confidence is amplified through action. A man can think he is confident all he wants, but confidence that is not backed by action is hollow. True confidence shows itself in decision-making, in the way a man handles challenges, and in the way he treats others. Younger women are acutely aware of this. They notice how a man moves, how he speaks, how he responds to life's pressures. They notice if he takes responsibility for his actions rather than blaming others. They notice when he treats people with respect without trying to impress them. And all of these behaviors, consistently demonstrated, reinforce the magnetic pull of genuine confidence. Ultimately, confidence is not something that can be taught in a book or learned from a quick tip online. It is cultivated over time through experience, reflection, and intentional growth. It is earned by facing fear and uncertainty, by learning from failure, and by consistently showing up as your most authentic self. And the beauty of it is this: once you have developed this kind of confidence, it becomes a natural amplifier of every other trait you possess. It elevates your presence, your communication, and your relationships. Younger women don't just notice it, they are drawn to it instinctively, like a moth to a flame. So here's the takeaway. If you want to be the kind of man younger women notice instantly, start by building your inner confidence. Stop chasing validation, stop trying to impress with superficialities, and start mastering yourself. Face your fears, embrace your imperfections, and carry yourself with calm authority. The energy you cultivate will speak louder than words, commands respect, and creates an invisible pull that no one can resist. Remember this: confidence is not about being perfect. It is about being whole. It is about being unshakable. It is about moving through the world with certainty, calm, and quiet power. And once you embody that energy, the world begins to notice. Not because you demand it, not because you try to impress, but simply because you exist as a man who knows his worth. That is magnetic. That is unforgettable. That is the kind of energy younger women notice instantly, and it is within your reach if you choose to cultivate it. Let's get something straight. Younger women are not impressed by perfection. They are not impressed by a flawless Instagram feed, by a curated lifestyle, or by a man who tries to appear untouchable. That's a misconception that has been drilled into men for decades. And it's dangerous because it makes them chase an illusion rather than cultivate reality. What younger women notice instantly and what truly holds their attention is presence. Presence beats perfection every single time. And presence is not something you can fake, no matter how much you invest in appearances. Presence is energy. Presence is awareness. Presence is the ability to occupy a room, a conversation, and a life with authenticity and gravitas. Think about what presence really means. Presence is not about talking louder than everyone else. It's not about dominating a conversation or trying to prove how interesting or successful you are. Presence is quiet, subtle, and undeniably felt. It's the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's the calm assurance in your voice. It's the way your gaze meets another person's without flinching. Presence is fully being in the moment, and younger women sense it immediately. They feel it in their bones. You can have the show, our pursuit, the fanciest car, and the biggest house. But if your energy is scattered, anxious, or overly performative, you are invisible. Presence starts with self-mastery. The older man who commands presence has cultivated the ability to regulate his own mind and emotions. He does not let external circumstances dictate his energy. He understands that life is unpredictable, that challenges will come, and that the only thing he can truly control is how he responds. That mastery, subtle yet profound, is what creates presence. Women notice it instantly because it signals stability, resilience, and strength. These are qualities they intuitively respect and are drawn to even before they consciously realize why. Now, here's where most men go wrong. They think presence is about perfection. They think it's about saying the right words, dressing flawlessly, or projecting an image of invincibility. But perfection is hollow. Perfection can be intimidating, yes, but it rarely feels real. Presence, on the other hand, communicates authenticity. It tells women that you are comfortable in your own skin, that you don't need validation, that you have nothing to prove. Presence conveys power quietly, without force or aggression. It is energy, not appearance. It is substance, not showmanship. Presence also creates connection. Younger women notice it because it signals that you are fully engaged with the world, fully aware of yourself and others, and fully capable of creating meaningful interaction. They feel it when you listen without judgment, when you respond thoughtfully instead of reactively, when you carry yourself with calm confidence rather than arrogance. Presence is magnetic because it is rare. Most men live fragmented lives, distracted by their phones, their ego, or their insecurities. A man with true presence is like a calm lighthouse in the chaos of the world. Steady, relia, slow, and impossible to ignore. There is another dimension to presence that is crucial to understand. Presence is grounded in purpose. The older man who has cultivated presence knows why he exists, what he values, and what he will not compromise. This clarity of purpose is immediately noticeable. Women sense it in the way he moves through space, in the way he interacts with people, in the way he carries himself when confronted with challenges. It is an energy that cannot be manufactured or imitated. You either have it or you don't. And the older man who has presence doesn't need to explain it or justify it. It simply radiates, and younger women notice it instinctively. But let's address the skepticism some men might feel. You may be thinking, I'm not perfect. I don't have the life others have. How can I command presence? Here's the truth. Presence has nothing to do with perfection. Presence has everything to do with authenticity and awareness. You do not need to be rich, famous, or flawless. You do need to be real. You need to be grounded. You need to live in alignment with your values. Act with integrity and move through the world intentionally. When you do that, your presence will speak louder than any accomplishment or appearance ever could. Presence is also an amplifier of every other quality you possess. Confidence, experience, wisdom, and resilience are all magnified when combined with presence. Younger women notice this synergy. They sense the difference between a man who simply exists and a man who fully inhabits his life. They feel the energy of someone who has faced life's trials, who has learned from them, and who now moves with clarity and authority. That energy is captivating, magnetic, and impossible to ignore. Presence makes a man unforgettable, not because he is perfect, but because he is fully alive. Ultimately, the lesson is clear. If you want to be noticed, respected, and admired, stop chasing perfection and start cultivating presence. Stop worrying about whether you measure up to external standards and focus on how you show up in your own life. Be fully aware, fully engaged, and fully yourself. That energy will carry you further than any superficial attempt to impress. Presence commands attention. Presence builds respect. Presence attracts admiration and interest in a way that perfection never will. So remember this. Perfection is superficial. Presence is profound. Younger women do not fall for perfection. They fall for authenticity, energy, and a man who is fully grounded in himself. Presence communicates what words cannot. Presence signals strength without aggression, confidence without arrogance, and power without pretense. And once you understand this, you begin to see the truth. Presence is not learned overnight, but it is cultivated every day through intentional living, self-awareness, and unwavering authenticity. Let's talk about something that most men completely misunderstand: mastery of self. Younger women notice it instantly, even if they can articulate it. It's not something flashy, not something you can buy, and not something that comes from trying to impress. Mastery of self is the quiet force that underlies every interaction, every glance, and every choice a man makes. It is a presence so deep, so grounded, that women feel it immediately. And yet, so few men ever develop it because they spend their lives chasing external validation, worrying about how they look, or trying to control what others think. Mastery of self begins with awareness. It is the ability to see yourself honestly, to acknowledge your strengths without arrogance and your weaknesses without shame. The man who has mastered himself knows who he is at his core. He doesn't try to fit a mold created by society or by fleet G trends. He doesn't overcompensate with money, status, or charm. He understands that his true power comes from understanding himself, from being unshakable in his values, and from moving through the world intentionally. Younger women notice this immediately. They sense the difference between someone who is driven by insecurity and someone who is driven by purpose. A man who masters himself is also a man who controls his emotions. Life will throw challenges at you: disappointments, heartbreak, failure, and betrayal. The average man reacts. The man who has mastered himself responds. There is a difference between reacting impulsively and responding with clarity. Women sense it. They notice when a man can remain calm under pressure, when he does not lash out or panic, when he maintains his composure in situations that would shake others. That ability to regulate your internal world while chaos rages outside is not just attractive, it is magnetic. It signals strength, stability, and resilience, and these qualities cannot be faked. Another critical aspect of self mastery is taking responsibility. The man who has mastered himself does not blame others for his circumstances. He does not play the victim. He understands that while he cannot control everything in life, he can control his decisions, his actions, and his attitudes. This sense of accountability is deeply attractive because it signals integrity. Younger women notice it in subtle ways, in how a man talks about his past, in how he handles setbacks, in how he interacts with others. There is a confidence that comes from being accountable, a quiet authority that is irresistible. Mastery of self also means having a clear sense of purpose. It is the older man who knows why he gets up in the morning, who understands his values, and who lives in alignment with them. Women sense it instantly. Purpose is energy, it is clarity. In motion, when a man knows what he stands for and what he will not compromise, he carries a magnetic force that draws people to him. It communicates security, stability, and depth. Younger women are particularly sensitive to this because they unconsciously seek men who are grounded, capable, and reliable, men who have created order in their own lives before seeking to create connections with others. Let's be clear. Mastery of self does not mean being perfect. It does not mean having all the answers or never making mistakes. Perfection is superficial. Mastery is real. Mastery is knowing your flaws, learning from your failures, and growing stronger because of them. It is about showing up authentically, even when it is uncomfortable. It is about acting with integrity, even when no one is watching. And when you live this way consistently, your energy communicates something that younger women cannot ignore. It is the energy of someone who has faced life and emerged resilient, composed, and whole. Mastery of self also amplifies confidence and presence, the first two key traits we discussed. Confidence without mastery is fragile. It crumbles when challenged. Presence without mastery is hollow. It may draw attention, but it does not command respect. But when you combine confidence, presence, and mastery of self, you create a force that is magnetic, undeniable, and irresistible. Younger women notice this combination instinctively. They feel it in your demeanor, your energy, and the way you navigate life. They don't need to understand it intellectually. They sense it at a deeper, almost subconscious level. Now, here's a critical insight most men overlook. Mastery of self is a lifelong journey. It is not something you achieve overnight or by reading a few books. It is cultivated through reflection, discipline, and intentional action. It is forged in moments of challenge, tested in adversity, and strengthened by experience. Every decision you make, every fear you confront, and every failure you endure contributes to your mastery. And the older man who has embraced this journey radiates an energy that younger women cannot help but notice. It is authentic, grounded, and powerful. Finally, mastery of self is about freedom. When you have mastered yourself, you are free from the need to seek approval, free from the weight of insecurity, and free to act in alignment with your values. That freedom is compelling. It creates a natural magnetism that draws the right people toward you. Younger women sense this freedom immediately. They're unconsciously attracted to men who are unbound by neediness or fear. They feel it in your presence, in your energy, and in your actions. Mastery of self, in this way, is not just attractive, it is transformative. So, if you want to be the kind of man younger women notice, admired, and respected, start with yourself. Invest in self-awareness. Cultivate emotional control. Take responsibility for your life. Pursue purpose relentlessly. Accept your flaws, learn from your mistakes, and grow stronger with each challenge. This is what makes a man magnetic. This is what makes him unforgettable. And this is what younger women notice immediately without even needing to think about it. Let's address something most men completely misunderstand. Women, especially younger women, do not respond to effort the way you think they do. It's a hard truth, and it might shock you. You might believe that doing more, trying harder, texting more, buying more, or over explaining yourself will get attention or respect. But here's the reality: effort alone is invisible if it is not backed by the right energy. Energy matters more than effort, always. And younger women notice it instantly. They feel it, sometimes before they even hear your words or see your actions. Think about it for a moment. You can plan a perfect evening, send flawless messages, or spend hours crafting the right image. But if your energy communicates neediness, desperation, or insecurity, it undermines everything. Energy is the unspoken signal of who you are inside. It's the way you move, the way you speak, the confidence or lack thereof you radiate. Younger women pick up on this immediately because they are wired to sense authenticity and emotional power. Effort alone is superficial. Energy is primal. It communicates your internal state without a single word. Energy is not about being hyperactive or constantly performing. It's not about trying to impress everyone around you. Energy is the quality you carry, the aura you emit, and the emotional tone you set. A man who carries calm, focused, and grounded energy is more attractive than a man who throws himself into actions desperately hoping to get noticed. Energy commands attention effortlessly. Effort without energy is like shouting into a void, loud but meaningless. Younger women can sense the difference. They know instinctively who is self-assured and who is merely trying too hard. Let's go deeper. Energy is amplified by self-mastery and presence, the traits we've already discussed. A man who has mastered himself, who is fully present in his life, radiates an energy of certainty and stability. He doesn't need to chase approval or validation because he knows his value. That energy is magnetic. Women feel it in every interaction, in every glance, in the subtle rhythms of his movement. Energy communicates more than words ever could. It signals security, strength, and freedom, all qualities that women unconsciously seek. Effort, on the other hand, without this energy, comes across as neediness, desperation, or inconsistency. Energy also comes from alignment with your purpose. The man who is connected to his mission in life, who moves intentionally, who acts with clarity and discipline, carries an energy that attracts attention effortlessly. You don't have to shout about your accomplishments. You don't have to try to prove anything. Your energy announces it for you. Women feel that alignment even before they know the details of your life. Effort without purpose is empty. Energy with purpose is magnetic. And that magnetism is irresistible to younger women because it signals that you are a man in control of your life who is capable of offering stability and vision in a world that often feels chaotic. Another essential point: energy is contagious. The energy you carry influences the environment around you. If you are calm, grounded, and composed, people feel safe and drawn to you. If you are anxious, scattered, or overeager, that energy repels rather than attracts. Younger women pick up on this instantly. They are naturally attuned to the emotional atmosphere, and they gravitate toward men whose energy makes them feel secure and inspired. Effort, no matter how impressive on paper, cannot replace the subtle, invisible pull of the right energy. Now, here's the challenge most men face. Energy is not something you can fake for long. You can't just act confident or try harder and expect it to work. Real energy comes from internal work, self awareness, emotional regulation, purpose, and discipline. It is cultivated over time through intentional living and consistent action aligned with your values. It is grounded in authenticity. And when you operate from this energy, everything else aligns effortlessly. Words, actions, presence, and confidence all become amplified. Younger women notice this immediately because energy communicates more than effort ever could. Let's also talk about effort versus energy in relationships. Many men make the mistake, thinking that being nice, buying gifts, or constantly accommodating someone will earn attraction or loyalty. But energy communicates intent, value, and self respect far more effectively than external actions. A man with high energy and aligned purpose can do far less externally and still attract respect and interest because the energy behind him signals that he is in control of himself, his life, and his environment. Effort without energy might temporarily impress, but it rarely builds lasting attraction. Energy is sustainable, effort is temporary. The subtle yet profound truth is this: women are not attracted to what you do, they are attracted to who you are. Effort can be observed, calculated, or even manipulated. Energy is felt instinctively, deeply, and unconsciously. It is primal. It communicates confidence, stability, and authenticity. Younger women respond to it instinctively, and it is one of the reasons older men who have cultivated self-mastery and presence hold attention so effortlessly. Energy signals value. Effort signals desire, and desire without value is rarely attractive. Finally, consider how energy multiplies every other trait we've discussed: confidence, presence, and mastery of self. Each one enhances your energy, and your energy enhances each of them. Confidence without energy is fragile. Presence without energy is hollow. Mastery without energy is unnoticed. But when you cultivate high level energy, calm, grounded, and aligned, it creates a magnetic field around you that draws attention, commands respect, and inspires admiration. Younger women notice this immediately, even if they cannot explain it. It is not something you earn through doing more, it is something you develop from within. So here's the takeaway: stop relying on effort alone to get noticed. Stop overthinking gestures, appearances, or actions as the primary source of attraction. Start cultivating energy. Focus on being grounded, authentic, purposeful, and self aware. Let your internal power radiate outward and watch as younger women and people in your life in general respond effortlessly. Energy matters more than effort. Always. Let's finish strong by talking about something most men overlook, something that younger women notice immediately without even realizing it. Your life story is your power. It is not the car you drive, the money in your account, or even the way you look. It is the collection of experiences, challenges, failures, lessons, and growth that you carry within you. Younger women can sense it the moment they encounter a man who has lived fully, who has faced life head on, and who has transformed adversity into strength. This energy, born from experience, is magnetic in ways that external displays of wealth or status could never be. Your life story communicates depth. It signals that you have faced hardship, made tough decisions, and emerged resilient. It signals that you understand life's complexities and are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Younger women notice this instinctively because it resonates on a subconscious level. They are drawn to men who have a past, not because of drama or ego, but because a man with history exudes authenticity, wisdom, and stability. It's the difference between a man who has lived and a man who has merely existed. And women sense that difference immediately. The power of your story lies in its uniqueness. No one has lived your exact experiences, faced your exact challenges, or learned the same lessons in the same way. This is something that cannot be replicated or faked. When you have confronted your fears, endured setbacks, and grown stronger through adversity, your energy changes. It becomes grounded, composed, and unwavering. Younger women notice this energy and they respect it instinctively. They may not know the details of your life, but they feel the strength, wisdom, and depth that comes from living fully. Your story also communicates confidence and presence in a way that superficial efforts cannot. A man who has experienced life deeply carries himself differently. He speaks with authority not because he seeks to dominate, but because his words are backed by lived experience. He makes decisions decisively because he understands consequences. He navigates challenges calmly because he has seen hardships before. This combination of calm authority, authenticity, and wisdom is irresistible. Younger women notice it instantly because it signals maturity, stability, and emotional strength, qualities they unconsciously seek in a partner. Another aspect of your life story is the lessons it conveys. Every challenge you have faced, every obstacle you have overcome adds layers of depth and insight. These lessons shape the way you approach relationships, communicate, and carry yourself in the world. A man who has learned from failure and turned it into growth demonstrates resilience and intelligence. Younger women recognize this, even if subconsciously, and they are drawn to it. They sense that being around a man like this is safe, inspiring, and meaningful. It is not the grand gestures that captivate them. It is the authenticity of lived experience. Your story also creates a sense of emotional strength. The older man who has navigated life's highs and lows carries a calmness that comes from knowing he has survived and grown stronger. He is not easily shaken by trivialities, drama, or superficial issues. This emotional stability is profoundly attractive. Younger women notice it immediately because it signals that you are a man who can handle life with grace and composure. It tells them that you are reliable, resilient, and capable of providing emotional security, the kind of energy that goes far deeper than appearances or effort ever could. It's important to recognize that your story is also a source of inspiration. People are drawn to those who have turned adversity into strength. Women sense this unconsciously. A man who has overcome obstacles and emerged stronger communicates hope and possibility without ever needing to state it. This is the magnetic energy that draws others in. It is the aura of someone who has mastered himself, embraced presence, cultivated energy, and now carries the wisdom of experience. Your life story becomes a living testament to your value, your resilience, and your authenticity. Now, many men make the mistake of hiding their struggles, pretending that life was easy, or trying to appear perfect. This is the opposite of what attracts. Younger women are not drawn to perfection. They are drawn to authenticity. They sense the courage it takes to face challenges and the wisdom it produces. Sharing your story, even subtly, through your energy, your confidence, and your presence, communicates that you are real, grounded, and deeply human. It is the energy of someone who has lived, learned, and evolved, and it is impossible to ignore. Your story also ties together every trait we've discussed so far. Confidence is amplified because it is backed by experience. Presence is deepened because it is formed by lessons learned. Energy becomes more magnetic because it carries the weight of authenticity and resilience. When your life story is integrated into the way you move through the world, it becomes an invisible yet powerful force. Younger women notice this synergy instinctively. They feel the depth, the strength, and the authenticity that cannot be faked or manufactured. Ultimately, the lesson is clear. Your life story is your greatest asset. It is a source of power that no amount of effort, money, or superficial charm can replicate. Younger women notice it instantly because it communicates authenticity, resilience, wisdom, and emotional depth. It tells them that you have faced life, grown stronger, and now exist as a man who is grounded, confident, and unshakable. Your story is not something to hide or be ashamed of. It is something to embrace, embody, and allow to radiate through your presence, energy, and interactions. So, if you want to be noticed, respected, and truly magnetic, start by owning your story. Reflect on the challenges you have overcome, the lessons you have learned, and the growth you have achieved. Let that lived experience shape the energy you radiate, the confidence you carry, and the presence you command. Younger women and the world will notice, they will feel it, and it will make you unforgettable.